that I was strong enough to just say like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't need Botox, but like, I do want to have a smooth forehead in my art because to me, like, I want to look a certain way and it's not healthy. And I do like, honestly feeling a little called out right now.
I'm Louis Cole. Welcome to the Recharged podcast. In this series, I invite fellow content creators and artists to explore exciting ways to make a difference in the world. I take my guests to visit local social good projects in my self-converted electric 1973 Volkswagen van. We have real and raw conversations about life and hear from social good heroes that we can all be inspired by. On today's podcast, our guest is Gabby Hanna, singer-songwriter, actress, and New York Times bestseller author, and often controversial internet personality. Gabby launched her career on Vine 8 years ago with comedy skits and has now built a social following of over 17 million. She often discusses challenging topics online from trauma, internet bullying, and her personal struggles with mental health. More recently, she has been pursuing her dreams and main passion of music. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Gabby Hanna as my guest, and I think let's head off. That's it.
Oh, that was awesome, dude.
To start off, I would love your life story in 3 minutes.
My life story in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. I went to college and then I was working a marketing job and I was being a waitress and stuff, and then I found Vine. I started posting Vines, could quit my job. I got fired from my job, moved out to LA, started making content full time, and from Vine went to YouTube, I wrote a poetry book, started doing music, and now that's kind of where I am right now, is just really focused on music and art and all that shit.
I feel like we've known of each other for years but never been close friends. I'm hoping that will change. I'm hoping we will become closer friends.
Very much agree with that.
I feel like not in the same way, but I feel like I've related to a lot of the online struggles that you've communicated.
Yeah.
And I love that you're so real and raw with like just being open about the struggles, whether it's stuff personally you're going through or stuff with the internet. And yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I admire that you are just real, you know.
Thank you.
With how you communicate.
Well, I appreciate you a lot, and I echo the sentiment of that. That's why I'm hanging out with you right now, is because like I want us to have like a better friendship, because the thing that I like about you and why I think you're a really valuable friend to me is you are so good at holding people accountable to shit. Because when you say that you want the world to be a better place, you mean it, and you also want all of your friends to mean it. So like back in the summer when everybody was rallying, we had already known I think we met at VidCon, right? Yeah. And then it was kind of like a brief interaction, and I liked you right away because the way you introduced yourself to me was you wanted to defend the security guard.
Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, and you came up to me and you're like, yo, this security guard, like this person was disrespectful to them. He's an artist, let's put him on. And I was like, fuck yes, I love this, let's get behind this. And then you reached out during the summer because you were just trying to get influencers to actually fully understand Black issues and connect them with other Black creators. And I was like, oh wow, like this is how you learn, this is how you do it, because I think it's really hard to get started when you're trying to be an activist or inform yourself or just in general be a better ally. It's what do you do? Who do you talk to? And you were the person that said, hey Gabby, I'm gonna text you literally every week. And even if you're like going through some shit and you're busy, I'm gonna text you every week and remind you that this is here. And now here we are, like again, holding me accountable. You asked me, what am I passionate about? And I said this. And now we're on our way to do something about it. So that's why I love you, and I think you're amazing and you're such a positive influence. So thank you for being in my life and for caring.
Yeah, well, thanks, I appreciate that. And I think, I feel like it's very easy to get caught up in our own lives, our own careers, our own bubbles, and there's so much going on in the world that it's overwhelming sometimes to think like, how do we even start trying to make a positive difference?
Yeah.
And I've done this a few times where that just shuts me down because I'm like, oh, this is too much to think about. So I've been really passionate about looking at, okay, how do we how do we make this easier to like break into smaller steps of like, okay, if we can do this one thing or just like one thing at a time, then it's not as overwhelming.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You do it the right way. You do it in a way that's like, it really isn't as hard as people think to just get to know people and learn stories and learn struggles and make the, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard. I'm actually in a place right now where I want to talk about the stuff that's happening in the Asian cultures and communities, and I still know so little about it. I know the grand overarching theme of it, which is like the fetishization, and especially with the pandemic, with people being like, oh, we fucking Asian people, like they're next. That's the person we'll attack. And like, I still need to learn a lot of information about that. And I feel like you are a big reason that I actually take the steps to try to learn. So you're awesome. Look at your life. You're so cool. Look at this van. Look at your bus, dude. Look at your lifestyle. You're doing life so right.
I think for me, what I realized when I moved to LA, which was like 2.5 years ago, so I haven't been here that long, but what I realized was I was really missing community.
Yeah.
And I'd focused for the previous 5 years just on like growing my channel, and it was fun. Like I was like traveling the world, having adventures. I was with Raya, but I'd got really lonely and disconnected from community because, like, you know, you have those events like VidCon and playlists where you kind of can connect with other creators for like a weekend, kind of. But the rest of the year, I was realizing I just didn't have people around me that understood, and I wasn't at home like my hometown where I grew up. So like a lot of my friends back home, I wasn't physically with a lot. And I think for the last 2.5 years for me, like, it's been really about getting like healthy community around me.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm really passionate about helping others find, because I think LA, it is like the city of opportunity. I love how big people dream here, but I also think it can become really lonely, really quite toxic, and I feel like it can send you on some negative paths as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know my story.
Well, I'd love
bits of it.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more for you. Like, what was it like moving to LA? We can go back and talk. I think we've got plenty of time to talk about making a positive impact and social projects, but just for you personally, going back to your own story, like, what was it like moving to LA? What have been some of the struggles you've encountered, and maybe even how have you managed to overcome some of those?
Well, when I moved to LA, I actually thought that I was in a pretty lucky position, because I was coming from like Vine, and I had this very small niche community where we all kind of moved out together. And it was at the time more so just small friends in terms of social impact. We were out here grinding and having fun. But then it kind of moved to a place where it did become like, you know, the dreams become real. I don't think any of us moved out here with the idea of we're gonna be massive. We were just, let's have fun and make content and make money. And then it felt like a lot of stuff started really shifting, especially when it comes to vlog culture. When you're vlogging your life and making life your content, you blur those lines. Am I doing this for content? Am I doing this for life? Is this person doing this for content? Is this for life? Do they care about me? And what if there's some stuff I don't agree with? Can I speak up against this? Can I stand up to these people?
Are they my friends, or am I just a character in their vlog?
100%.
Yeah.
I actually had a lyric in a spoken word piece that was, are these my colleagues or my friends? Where do I begin and where do I end and where does me begin? And like it was just so confusing. And then I found that for a very long time, I wasn't only ostracized, but I was kind of isolated and ridiculed for being the person that didn't want to live that lifestyle. So then I found myself without a community and being honestly really suicidal and depressed, because that was all I knew. That was my community. And when I lost it all really overnight, I was like, I'm a bad person. I'm a monster. I'm the reason that nobody likes me. And now I can finally look back and say, I'm actually not a monster. I think those people they just didn't like that I was calling them out on shit that wasn't that cool. So they didn't want me to be a part of it anymore because I was like, dude, I wasn't fun. Because I was like, I don't like those jokes. I don't like that prank. I don't like the way you're treating people. I don't like the way you're talking to this person. And then it's like, okay, well then we don't like you.
And it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people are so in that world, and this is where I relate. Like I was so in, when I was daily vlogging, in the midst of my daily vlogging, it was like I was so blinkered and didn't see maybe the negative impact. Some of my friends didn't want to hang around with me anymore because it was just like, all you do is film, like all you're doing, like you don't have a life outside. And I remember clearly thinking, you know, Fun for Louis, my online personality, and Louis Cole, I was like, it's the exact same person. I remember thinking that is who I am. I am Fun for Louis, rather than thinking Fun for Louis is a small part of my life that I make for online videos, and I'm much, much more than that. But I like basically melded who I am with my online personality, and it took me a while to detach from that again and realize, whoa, like there's some unhealthy, it can be super unhealthy if you're just viewing your life through that lens. And I think a lot of people are still stuck in that, where it's not like malicious, it's not like they're trying to hurt people, but I feel like because they're so obsessed and focused on like the content, that they can make really bad decisions that have like really bad impact on other people around them.
1000%. I relate to all of that. I saw that I started off as like a pretty genuine form of myself, and people liked that. And then it started becoming overwhelming for me, and then there became this pressure to tell stories or create content. So then I started becoming a caricature of myself. And then the rest of myself disappeared because so much of my life was making content. I was posting a minimum of 1 a week. Sometimes I was posting 10. Because I was posting daily on my vlog channel, and then 2 times a week on my main channel, and then Instagram and Vine and everything else. So the only part that was left of Gabby Hanna was the Gabby Show, that person. So then I lost myself, and then I also wasn't very fun to be around because I was angry, stressed, anxious. I didn't have a good support group. If I wanted to talk about my emotions, there wasn't a healthy outlet for that. I felt like nobody understood me because how could they outside of that group? But like the people that I was hanging out with were also in that place of getting more and more down the line of, I'm not a real person. I want to be around content. I want to make money. And everybody was lost. So then when I was like craving these really deep intellectual, spiritual, or personal conversations, like I look back and realize that none of the people I thought were my friends actually know anything about me. They don't know where I came from. They don't know my struggles. They don't know my mental health. They just know as like this person who comes around when we're filming and it's all kind of laughs and fun. And like, I forgot what it was to be a person. And in also doing that, I was ignoring all of the things that I needed to learn and process in myself. And I think that there's this phenomenon that when you find success or fame or whatever it is, you get emotionally and mentally stunted there. So I was kind of stuck at 22 years old when I started Vine. I didn't need to learn. I didn't need to grow. Why would I? I was making money. I was getting opportunities. I was the cool kid. I had friends. People wanted to collab with me. People wanted to work with me. People wanted me on their podcasts. People wanted me on their shows. People wanted me to write a book. People wanted me to do merch. Why the fuck would I change? And then when I wanted to change, it just was like, dude, I was a mess. I was a bitch too, because I was so fucking mad all the time because I was like holding in all the shit I needed to release. I don't think you were ever a bitch though, were you?
No, I think I was inconsiderate, and I think I put content over people quite a few times.
Yeah.
But I don't think I definitely wasn't intentionally nasty, but I do remember thinking, oh, that person doesn't like me filming around them, so I'm not going to go hang out with them today. Because I was just thinking I'd rather film than
I was on the receiving end of that because I was always craving friendship first. And then my problem was all of my friendships were only there if they were allowed to film. And then when I expressed that I needed to get back to my roots and I want to put the friendship first, I stopped seeing my friends because like it became like this awkward thing where I couldn't hang out at my other friend's house because if this person showed up and they wanted to film, now it's like this awkward tension of, well, Gabby's here and she doesn't want to be on camera, so like somebody's got to either leave or not get what they want out of this interaction. So I don't, dude, it sucks.
Yeah, but it's cool that you've come out the other side.
You too.
And I think it's part of growing and learning, and like for me, getting into all of this a little bit later on in my life, and not that I'm super old, but like I look at like teen stars, and it worries me more because I feel like when you're a young teenager, you've developed even less of your understanding of where your value comes from and how you see yourself in the world. Or I mean, obviously all of us are continually finding ourselves, and it's not like we've got everything figured out, but I feel like as a teenager, to be thrown into this world where you're worshipped and like you're constantly trying to play the numbers and be popular, and you know you're making millions, like it must be even more overwhelming and toxic.
Yeah, I thank God all the fucking time that before I got into this life, because I do think that I'm supposed to be in entertainment. It's clear to me that my goal and direction in life is music. I have messages, I have shit I want to say, and I know that I'm talented. That is what I'm supposed to do. And I wouldn't have done any of that if it wasn't for social media, because I didn't grow up with dreams like that, because it never felt like an attainable thing. Nobody instilled the thought in me that I could go off and be an artist and make a living and be successful, because I was from small town Pennsylvania. Yeah. So when I found this, I was like, oh fuck yes, I can follow my dreams. But I forget where I started with that. I think it was important, but ADHD.
What do you think helps?
Oh, being an adult. That's
yeah,
what it was.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I thank God all the time, because when I started, I went to college. I did have like a corporate job for a second, so I at least experienced a little bit of life. Because when it comes to social media, you can think about this. You don't have to go through a vetting process to get famous. Yeah. So most people who get famous, you need to know how to talk to people, work with people, respect others, have a work ethic, and treat others with respect and kindness. Because if you showed up to a job or an acting gig or a modeling gig and you have a bad attitude, you're never going to work in entertainment. Yeah. With YouTube and TikTok, it's this person who isn't working a job, didn't go to school, which isn't a bad thing, but like the point is they don't have what most people have before they became famous, with some type of training or whatever, so they don't know how to be respectful and professional, and then they're just given all of this like, yes, here's some money, here's some shit, do exactly what you're doing, don't change, don't grow up ever, which is what happened to me at 22. That happened to people at 14. Yeah. Where they're stunted. It's no offense to anybody who's 14 and has a lot of followers. I don't know you like that, but like generally.
Well, the thing I struggled with, and I think happens very easily, is you become entitled because you are told, oh, you're worth this much money for whatever, a brand deal, or
and teenagers are already entitled.
Yeah, and it's like this is how we'll treat you because you've got this level of fame right now, or this level of relevancy in the world, and it's like then you become used to this being treated a certain way or being important. And I found myself having to catch myself being like, whoa, like I'm so entitled right now. The things I expect, or you know, the thing, the way I was speaking about jobs I was doing, I was like, what? How did I become like this? Like this is a conditioning that I have to be aware of. But like you said, if you've never experienced anything else,
conditioning is a great word for it, because like that's actually like the psychological term for it, which I feel like you probably know, which is why you said it. But you're literally conditioned to be a self-centered, egocentric person, because you do self-centered, egocentric things. Look at me, I'm telling a story, I'm taking a picture, I'm important, I'm funny, pay attention to me. And then you get rewarded with money and followers and fame and people sucking your dick all the time. And like, dude, you couldn't tell me shit. Like when I was working at MTV, like you could not tell me shit, because I was like, no, I'm right. And like, you want me on the show because you want my audience, so like you kind of got to do what I'm gonna, you know what I mean? You're not gonna fire me. Yeah. You already paid me and signed a contract. You're gonna not, you know what I mean? And it's bad. It's a bad place to be because you have to undo the conditioning. It's just like the dog with the bell. Do you know what I'm referring to? So Pavlov, it was a psychologist, and he basically was feeding dogs and ringing a bell every time he fed the dogs. So eventually, he would ring the bell and the dogs would salivate just at the bell because you conditioned the dog to, you hear the bell, you eat. So now they're expecting food. So that's what it is as a social media influencer with numbers. I do something egocentric, I get rewarded. I do something egocentric, I get rewarded. Now I'm egocentric all the time, even when I'm not being rewarded. And when I don't get rewarded, I get angry because now that conditioning is reversing.
So I have a question. So you studied psychology, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, so how? It's kind of a two-part question. What were the things that helped you through some of the dark times? Like, what were some of the most important kind of coping mechanisms or like pivotal points? And secondly, like, do you think your understanding of human psychology helped you see what was happening to yourself at all, or was it really hard to detach yourself from like looking at what was going on from stepping back?
It was scary because I knew exactly what was going on and I couldn't stop. Like from the beginning of Vine grew so explosively that like the way Vine worked at the beginning, you could pull down and refresh your feed and then I would see like 5,000 more followers. It was that quick, where it was like boom, boom. And it became addicting to check. I would check my bank account. I would check all of my social medias, my numbers, my likes, my comments, and watch them go up. And I knew that was happening because if I didn't have my phone for a second or I had to be off of it, it was tough.
So you were addicted to the numbers.
1,000%. Yeah. You can't do what I did without being addicted. Yeah. You can't post the way that I was posting without being addicted.
I don't know any influencers that haven't been addicted at some point.
Oh, you have to be. Yeah. That's how you become a success. The same with corporate. Like, you have to be addicted to your work to be the CEO of Wall Street. Yeah. You have to be addicted to politics to be the president. You can't dip your toe in to be big. You have to go big. That's why the most leaders of the world are like kind of sociopathic to some degree. But like, that's again the problem with social media, is at least the sociopaths have to be kind to people to some capacity because they want to make it to where they're going. Social media, you don't really have to do that because nobody's checking you. There's no checks and balances in social media. It's you in your house with your phone, with your camera, doing you. But I've been seeing it for a long time. I actually did a video on YouTube a couple years ago that I kind of got a lot of hate for, where I was trying to explain this psychology of YouTube and how it is so dangerous. And everybody was just like, kind of fuck you, because nobody wants to see that truth. Because everyone's a part of it. Everyone wants to be a social media influencer.
Yeah, it's like the number one, I don't know about in the US, but in the UK, it was like the number one thing high school kids want to do as a job is be a YouTuber. Which is kind of cool, but also terrifies me because I know the pitfalls and the toxic side of it all.
Yeah.
And I do believe there's ways to be online as an entertainer and do it in a healthy way, but I feel like it's because we entered into this world in the origin of it all, like as it was kind of forming.
Yeah, that's so cool of us, by the way.
Yeah, it's cool. But it's like the Wild West, and it still kind of is. Like, people are starting to realize stuff, but no one's really studied, from what I understand, like the long-term implications of what social media does to our mental health. Did you watch The Social Dilemma?
I did. It gave me, it's nothing I didn't know.
No, same.
It gave me extreme anxiety because that's actually one of the things I'm really passionate about now. And it's so daunting because I do think this is a part of my calling. Yeah. I think that the journey that I went through is the internet needs regulation because it's no longer this like free place where anybody should be able to make an anonymous account and tell someone to kill themselves. I think that social media and free speech need to exist, of course, but if you're gonna have social media, you need to have your picture attached and your name. It needs to become almost a passport where, like, if you're going online and doing some crazy shit, you need, as the audience member, as the troll on Twitter, everybody wants to say, hold accountable, hold these influencers accountable. Everyone needs to be held accountable. These hate mobs and smear campaigns and like masses of cancel parties and like stands on Twitter, they need to be held accountable. You need to be of a certain age. If you want everyone to see your profile, you need to put your face and you need to put your name. And that's like dude, that movement has to happen because this anonymity is becoming an episode of Black Mirror. What is happening to a lot of people, the fact that you can filter your face so heavily on video is a fucking episode of Black Mirror. It is so dangerous.
It will become, I mean, it already kind of is, but I think it will become like real time. It'll be like real time deep fakes where you can choose whose face you've got and it'll look pretty.
Dude, people deep fake me on porn, which honestly doesn't affect me that much. I had somebody reach out and be like, this is horrible, what's happening to you? And I was like, yeah, but it's not actually me, so I don't really care. It is fucked up, but like, it's not me. So like, it's not like you leaked my actual nudes, you're just a fucking creep. But that type of thing where like anyone can disappear online and become anyone, and like people are gonna stop leaving their homes and have these total, it's too easy to stay home.
So, going back to the last question, what have been some of your ways you've coped with a lot of this? Yeah, have there been like specific things? Maybe someone's watching now and they relate and they're like, maybe they're an influencer, maybe they're just addicted to social media and they're like having a really tough time. What would your advice be for people?
Honestly, I am not very relatable in the way that like my story has gone online. I think I have like a one in a lifetime, I don't think what's really my experience, very, very, very few people have experienced the level of visibility, but also public shame, and also
you're like a very extreme case of online toxic.
So for
toxicity.
me, because of like who I am as a person, I'm not somebody who gives up anything. Even like people in toxic relationships, I will like cling to your fucking shoelaces as you drag me through the mud type of person. And that's the same with like quitting. It's hard for me to let go of toxicity. It's hard for me to walk away. But the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, cares about me a lot and violently shook me from the toxic groups that I was a part of, the toxic life that I was a part of. And I also take ownership of that in the way that like I didn't fit in with the toxic people because I'm genuinely not a very toxic person on purpose. Like I have a good heart. So I was violently like, you can't do this anymore because you're gonna wanna kill yourself, delete all your social media, disappear for 6 weeks, completely give up everything you worked for. And I knew that when I deleted my social media that it was going to have a very negative impact on my like stats, for example. Like I was getting at least 10 to 30,000 likes a tweet, and then I deleted it for 6 weeks, fucked up my social or my algorithm, and now I get like a couple thousand at best. And I knew that would happen.
But it was worth the trade to help your mental health.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I looked at it and I was like, wait, what do I want to do for a living? Do I want to be famous on social media for a living? No, I had it connected to my music in my head. I was like, if I'm not famous on social media, I can't do what I'm supposed to do, which is music. And now I'm finally in a mindset where I'm like, I don't need to be a famous world, like what my vision of success was what everybody that was around me was telling me was successful. Because the groups that I was in when I first came to LA it was a constant conversation about numbers, views, how do we do more? Oh my God, look how embarrassing, this person only got this many likes on Instagram. So I knew that was happening behind the closed doors with me too. So if I had a picture that didn't do as well as I thought it should, I deleted it immediately because I was like, this is embarrassing. I don't want anyone to make fun of me. So the only saving grace in my life was the fact that I didn't fit in with the people I shouldn't have fit in with. And also I found really amazing people to keep me grounded. And the more that I was seeking that energy and wanting that energy, the more it came into my life. For example, you reaching out and saying, would you like to come to this event that we're holding where we're just gonna like have allies and black people sit together in a circle and learn. And then in that circle, I met a lot of people who are that type of person. And then I continued to seek that type of people, and I became that type of people slowly over the years as I found good friends. And I owe so much of my life to the fact that I had good friends keeping me grounded along the way and reminding me, you are not the monster. That person's a bitch. That person's a fucking psychopath. And like,
and
when I was drowning,
the industry itself
the industry.
Super toxic. Like the social media industry.
Yeah. It just comes down to like, you have to find the people who will tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And I needed that. So like my friend Irene Taylor, my boyfriend Peyton, my friends Molly and Gino, like all of these people like you, people like Kyland and Charlie and Justin, and just good fucking people who reach out and remind me that I'm also good people, because you're the type of person who wants to be in my life. You wouldn't be in my life if I was who they say I am.
Yeah.
I'm like you, you know?
And I think the key is as well is like realizing, yes, in some way you can measure like what does a successful social media person look like. These are the tick boxes, but I don't think that equates to like what is a successful life look like, because
1000%.
because
yes.
if you're not happy, if this is taking a toll on your mental health and you're waking up every morning stressed, or you can't sleep and all of these issues are going on and you're feeling depressed, suicidal, like for me that's a major
Yes.
red flag that this isn't working for me.
Yes.
And would you rather simplify your life, have less fame, less notoriety and whatever, but be happier?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people chase power and fame and money to find deeper happiness.
Yeah.
That's the end goal, right?
Yeah.
And I think I'm not saying you can't have it all, but I think it's very difficult.
It's redefining success.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to figure out what success is, you have these images of what that is. Like before I was in social media and entertainment, my vision of success was being successful in corporate. But yeah, it's about redefining success. And that was a huge moment for me and a huge wake-up call in the time period where I deleted my social media. I was sitting in my hot tub with my boyfriend, which is a pretty luxurious fucking life, right? Just sitting in the hot tub with my boyfriend that I fucking bought before I was 30. You know what I mean? And I'm depressed. Why?
Yeah.
Because what else do I want? And what I realized was my vision of success was appearing a certain way to the world, because acknowledgement and validation and people thinking that I'm a good person, because my entire life, because I was raised to believe I was a bad person, all I wanted was for people to think I was a cool, good person. I wanted to fit in, I wanted to belong. And then I realized I don't have my social media right now. If I had nothing else in this world except for this man who loves me and respects me, somewhere cheaper I can sell this house, like, dude, what am I fucking stressed about? I'm living in the bonus round, and I'm upset. I have more than I ever dreamed of, and I'm upset. This is enough. I'm successful. You don't need the money, you don't need the house. You need to be happy and hang out with your boyfriend and your cats and your friends, and life is good.
And we live in the Western world where we're taught that nothing's ever enough, like we always need more.
Yeah.
So when you reach the level of success that you imagined reaching, like we both, and correct me if I'm wrong, but are more successful than we would have ever imagined as a kid, right?
Exactly. Bonus round!
So it's like, but now it's like the line moves. So you're like, oh, but if only, and I noticed this with views, talking to different YouTubers, in my head I've got like, if I can hit this number of views in each video I upload, I'm gonna be happy. But then I talk to other YouTubers and they're like, it would ruin their life if they got that many views, because they're expecting a higher amount of views. But it's all to do, and it always moves. So it's almost like there's never a real target
there's no end.
There's no end point. It's always it's a never-ending mountain, and we'll never really get to the top of it. So it's like that's where you realize in the end, it's like this is kind of an illusion.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't think that you should never stop climbing the mountain, but you need to be happy. And like it's that cliche shit about the journey. That was a big wake-up call for me too. My manager told me, because I'm always so stressed, and I've always told myself like, well, once I get the album out, once I get this, or once I make this much money, or once I have this many investments, like whatever it is, then I'll be happy. And my manager was like, if you're not enjoying this journey, you're not going to enjoy the destination. Like, you want to be an artist, right? Why aren't you having fun writing your album? What the fuck, dude? And I was like, whoa, you're right. And then in terms of like the vision of my music success, what does that look like? Okay, well, say I get this many monthly listeners. What if I get nominated for something? Well, then I want to win a Grammy, but well, this person has this many Grammys. So like, I want to have the most Grammys a female has ever had. And it's like, if that happens, awesome. I still have big dreams and goals for myself, and I actually think that I can achieve most of them. But if I don't, did I leave this earth with something that makes me so proud? Am I one person's favorite song? Did I create something that like, I realized for me, and this has come a lot with like, we were talking about kind of religious realizations, because I was raised very Catholic, and I realized that I was living most of my life based on the fear of hell as opposed to the enjoyment of living. So now I'm just like, when I die, how will I be remembered? Will I have left behind something that I'm proud of or that affected somebody? Or when my grandkids, because this is our digital tombstone, anything that anybody says about you, that's why I was so depressed too, because so many people were saying a reality that wasn't real, and I was never defending myself or telling my story. I don't care if the world believes me. I don't care if the audience believes me. I want my grandchildren to find it and know that the truth of who Gabby Hanna was exists. All the rest, I don't give a fuck. There's such a freedom of not giving a fuck.
There is.
Yeah.
Okay, we're almost at this location. Obviously, we've talked a lot about like the struggles, the toxic side of the internet. Just before we arrive, I'd love to hear like what does excite you right now? What are you passionate about? I'm assuming it's linked with your music and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what really brings you alive and brings you the most joy right now?
Oh, I have so much. So in summary, I believe that my purpose on this earth is to be an artist. And I think the thing that my artistry had been missing was my message, because I was so afraid to speak up or have a hot take or stand up for the wrong person because they may be hated in a way that I don't think is fair, or talk about issues that matter to me because I'm afraid that if I start talking about these issues, then people will bring up, well, then you made this vine or you had this tweet or you said this thing and you still haven't acknowledged it. You're performative. You don't actually care. And now I'm letting go of all of that stuff, and now I get to talk about the shit that I'm passionate about. I care about the fact that BIPOC are not treated properly. I care about the fact that there's hate crimes. I care about the fact that the way that the food system in America is set up so poorly that if you're poor, you're destined to be unhealthy. And then you spend your lifetime trying to climb out of that hole of, well, I was raised this way, my metabolism doesn't work the way it's supposed to because I couldn't afford produce when I was growing up. I had to eat ramen noodles at McDonald's because apples are expensive, and that's fucked up. And now, like, you spend your life with eating disorders or obesity or health issues, and then you start smoking to try to curb your appetite, or because you're too busy, because you're working too much to eat. And it's like this fucking insane cycle of living to work and not enjoying your life. Like, your life should be about, I laid in the sun all day with my friend, and I would have felt guilty doing that before because I'm like, oh fuck, I should be working on something. And then I was like, well, aren't we supposed to just sit in the sun with our friends?
Yeah.
Isn't that why we're
Yeah.
on this fucking earth?
know.
I want to spread that message. I also want to contact the aliens. I think it's really important. I know that's a little out there, but I truly believe that there's life outside of human beings. Whatever vision of aliens you have, there's massive galaxies and there's life on them.
Statistically, there must be.
There is, dude. They're trying to contact us. I truly believe that. It's not this weird, like, science fiction thing. It's just straight up like, of course there's other life and they have technology that we don't have. I want to try to bridge the gap and, like, erase the fear of beings that aren't like us. Right now we're fighting this battle on Earth of like, oh, well, that race isn't like me and that religion isn't like me and that's scary. It's so much bigger than that. We need to bridge the conversation between the universe. It's not going to happen soon, but like, we are a fucking energy of one. This entire universe is operating on a level of consciousness, and energy isn't created, it's not destroyed. We need to talk to the aliens. That's my summary. What did I say? I just like wrapped that whole up with, oh, she's a cool girl. Oh, no. She's psychotic.
If you're thinking Gabby sounds weird right now, I get you though, because no matter what you believe about aliens or not, what you're saying is
There's something else.
we are earthlings, all of us, and I think we always forget that. And I think to meet aliens and realize there's life outside of Earth would actually bring us together more as a planet, and that's where I think most the struggles in the world happen, is this fact that we see ourselves as divided and that we're not all the same species, we're not all the same family.
Dude, I was just talking to my boyfriend yesterday about how, like, when it comes to patriotism and nationalism, it's like, yeah, we're fucking American for sure. But also, that's not, okay, we're Americans, so we're against this country and these people and this belief. And it's like America's fighting the world and America's the best. You can be the best country in the world, which, are we? And I'm scared to say that, actually. But like...
No, I guess this is a whole nother topic. Maybe we can talk on the way back. But
yeah
I really question patriotism and whether it's even a good thing. And why are we trying to be proud of being, and I would say the same, am I proud to be British? Like, I'm appreciative of the things I've had from growing up in the UK, but if I look at the history of Britain, like, am I proud of all of that? Do I really believe it's better than other countries? I just don't think I do, and I don't think that should be a shocking thing to not be patriotic.
Well, Ariana Grande got fucking canceled for saying she hates America. And that's why it's like so scary to say, because she licked a donut and said, I fucking hate America, and then she got canceled for 2 years. But I'm not happy with my country right now, because the way that my country is right now is like, there's still a lot of hate.
I think you can love things about where you're from, and I think that you also need the freedom to be able to say, hey, look, this isn't right, we need to improve in this.
We're holding our country accountable.
Yeah.
We should.
Because you love something and you want to believe in the vision why America was founded and what it's really deeply about. I feel like you can say, hey, look, this isn't right. This needs to change. This thing isn't good. I don't know.
We love our countries.
Yeah.
We love the freedom that it has given us because we are very fortunate to be raised in the Western world.
Yeah.
But also, like, we got to get our shit together.
Exactly. Right, let's leave it there. Let's go and meet Jemiah, and then we can jump into the next bit.
Today we are visiting Jemiah Hargins, a visionary, inventor and self-taught urban farmer. Amongst many other amazing projects, Jemiah founded Crop Swap LA, a social enterprise which helps people across LA start microfarms, conserve water and grow nutrient-rich, organically grown veggies, fruits and herbs for their communities. Jemiah wants to help empower underserved communities whilst giving them access to fresh food by planting small sustainable farms that utilise rainwater harvesting in lots across LA. His goal is to eradicate food insecurity in all communities affected by food apartheid in Southern California. Black Americans are nearly 4 times more likely than white Americans to live in a neighbourhood that lacks a full-service supermarket, and Latinx people make up 2/3 of California's food insecure households. According to studies by the USDA, large swaths of South LA suffer from low access to fresh food, causing people to rely on fast food, which is highly processed and nutritionally inadequate. This poses significant risk to health and causes cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and type 2 diabetes. LA, once the largest agricultural county in the United States, is now the county with the largest population of food insecure people. If 25% of local food need was met with programs like Crop Swap LA, almost 30,000 new jobs would be created, providing work to about 1 in 8 unemployed residents. It's inspiring to see initiatives like this providing real solutions.
We have arrived at Jemiah's house and we're going to learn a bit about what he does, his story, and hopefully get our hands dirty a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to give us a little brief explanation of your story and like...
Sure. Yeah, so I started a little gardening movement called Crop Swap LA here in LA. Basically, when my daughter was being born, I decided we're not going to just eat what's the city's offering. Instead, we'll try to grow our own food if we have the option. And that started creating extra food. I got other gardeners involved nearby, and we had crop swaps every month. And now our iteration of our organization is to create food on unused spaces and create jobs out of that. So we're taking over front yards, anywhere we can get a rooftop or a wall and try to grow the food that we can.
Amazing. And what's your ultimate vision? Like, what would you say your mission statement is?
Yeah, to grow food on unused spaces that creates green jobs and that is nutrient dense. So nutrient density is incredibly important for our food. Over the past 70 years, it's decreased by density by 70% by what's available on the shelves. In fact, if you find some food in a canned food from 100 years ago, chances are it's healthier than what you find in canned food right now. All of that is because the whole, agricultural terrain has decreased in its nutrient value, and that's all we're drawing from. So we need to create new food, create new jobs and new opportunities.
I love that. I recently, me and my fiance bought land down in Costa Rica, and our whole idea is that we want to grow all our own food and start our own and like we're going to be living in an eco community and everything. But I also love that you don't need to leave and go to Costa Rica to do that, and that you're doing this literally in your front yard.
Yeah, you know, everywhere you are, you know, trying to take advantage of what grows there, and really planning it out intentionally is smart, because it is a lifestyle. It's more than that. It's an economy that you survive on, and otherwise, if you don't have it, you have to default to what's around. So by being intentional, that's smart.
Do you know how many people you're feeding?
Yeah, so at the micro farm over at Asante, we estimate between 35 and 45 people. That is families, and that's a weekly bag of hefty veggies. So.
Whoa, that's sick, dude. How many farms do you have? Or little
That's
micro
our
farms?
first one, actually, and yeah, it was actually provided with some funding by a public voting competition called LA 2050. We got, you know, almost 6,000 votes to get 50 grand to do something like this, and you know, we intend to do as many of these as we possibly can. We've only got, you know, a little money left on that grant, but the idea is proving the point, showing a demonstration garden, and now that we have jobs coming from it and like legitimate food and donated food and things like that, it's showing an option that people didn't know existed.
Yeah.
For people watching and listening that don't understand, you touched a little bit on like over the years nutrients in our foods got lower. Could you touch a little bit on especially low income, black neighborhoods, food deserts, like what some of the issues are, especially in the States here?
Yeah, particularly in the US, a lot of our farmland has been tainted with what we call fracking. Fracking is mostly outlawed in Europe and some parts of South America and Central America. In the US, unfortunately, you know, natural gas is still a big commodity, and folks are destroying their farmlands by over-tilling, using electric vehicles to do that, and fracking the land itself. So it's a complete extraction process. What we're doing here is the exact opposite. We're trying to regenerate, recharge the front yards and unused spaces that are private, but also getting access to city land by petitioning city council members to change unused land into agriculture and parkland that could help the people that are here. So it's about, you know, adapting to the scene that we have and finding opportunities to connect the resources.
And there's particular areas where like the whole concept of like a food desert where you can't get fresh produce, right? Is that...
Yeah, that is right. In fact, in Los Angeles, I call it food apartheid, because it ends up being that it's dictated by a few powerful figures in the whole economy, those who control grocery stores and the ports, those who control the messaging of where food is coming from, and the tactical decisions of which farms they're purchased from. So we have to kind of take that out of the hands of the few and put it back into the hands of the many. You know, this opportunity is way bigger and a bigger problem than we've ever had it in the past. So, you know, truly we can't trust that old ideas work in terms of dictating where grocery stores are in Los Angeles. Just last week they announced that 3 big grocery stores in LA are going to be closing down nearby, which will put more pressure on the existing ones and probably cause them to have some problems. So we do, you know, have different thresholds of food crises. It's gradually gotten worse, and then these local recent iterations of like policy and COVID policies and not wanting to pay employees, and also just getting food anywhere people can, that's a bad practice. We have to be intentional to create good food where we are, create good jobs, and help those who need it the most.
Yeah. I even read that buses have a limitation of how many grocery bags you can take on the bus. So people that are like trying to travel to go and get healthy groceries like have a limitation of how many they can carry.
Wow, I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absurd. Yeah, these add up over time. I mean, someone's got to walk or pay to go, and you know, it's across town. It's, you know, maybe culturally different or like, you know, exhausting to go frequently, you know, for folks that are elderly or busy, or folks that have multiple kids. You know, you can't really choose a lot of options with more than one child, you know. Just the way that ages work out, you know, at some point you're caring for one all the time, and the others aren't able to care for anything yet. So, you know, we're trying to create an infrastructure actually in Los Angeles where, you know, it's no longer even in the hands of those powers, but more it's going to be culturally acceptable to be growing your food yourself. Like in my front yard, I've got a lot of food growing. Everything you see is naturally, it started on its own just by the compost in my backyard. And everything else that you'll see here is intentional for the point of, you know, growing more food than I need so that I can supplement what others nearby don't have.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's exactly what this is.
What do you have out here?
Yeah, here we've got some callaloo, some mustard plants. Callaloo is a Nigerian spinach that's most of this here. It grew up on its own here. There are tomatoes. You know, some actually peanuts are growing here too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, those are called ground nuts. Ground nuts are peanuts, same thing. You kind of pull them out like potatoes from the roots.
Yeah, I've never seen a peanut being picked. So.
Yeah. I wish I had some ready.
I didn't know they grew like that. If you would have asked me how does a peanut grow, I would have no fucking idea.
Until I did it, I was like, oh, it's in the roots.
We're so disconnected from the food we eat that we don't even know what it looks like when it's like natural.
Yeah, it's amazing. So before we go to the micro farm, I'd like to show you guys how we constructed the micro farm. And actually the very first step was having volunteers over here doing what I'm going to show you. Sure. We're going to stuff soil socks, these garden socks, with high nutrient dense soil and compost, and then show you what they look like before we set them out there.
Yeah,
cool.
Let's do it.
All
Wait,
right.
it's like you're like pre-planting kind of?
Is it
Oh,
these
awesome.
things?
That's
Awesome.
right. Yeah, those are some
cool.
those are some examples. Maybe not the best examples, considering one is dead, but that's exactly what it is. They're recycled plastic made out of polypropylene mesh that not only stretches and serves as a mulching effect, but also keeps the irrigation aerated so that there's a continual flow of air and water. So the plants love it, their roots get excited, and the fact that it's black makes it even hotter, and roots being hot actually makes them grow faster. So there's a lot of trickery happening there. Yeah.
Who came up with that?
I didn't invent it.
Is it something that like exists? Or?
Yeah, they're called garden socks.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Sweet. Let's get
Cool.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Let's give it a shot. The first thing to do is note how it works. We're going to be combining soil beneath the white tarp there with compost inside here. Compost is intentionally broken down from a variety of green and brown sources. And the first step is mixing the soil with the compost that we then stuff the soil socks in. So I'm gonna grab a shovel real quick and be right back.
Cool.
Okay. Well, excellent. Okay, so the first step is we're gonna fill this gray one with some soil and then add some compost to it after that. Would you like to do the honors?
Yeah. Let's split the work.
Yeah, totally. I'm in it.
Nice. You want to fill all the way up or like halfway?
Let's do maybe 10 scoops. That's 5.
5. Do you want to do some?
God, I haven't shoveled something in so fucking long. Did I just do that the stupidest way I could have? Probably. You made it look a lot less heavy. There.
Okay, so this is the measuring part. And just fill from this compost bin. We want 15% of our soil socks to be compost. That smells special, huh?
I actually don't mind the smell of manure. Is that weird?
No, I think
Totally
it's
normal.
The same. Yeah, I think it's the same.
Kinda nice.
Do you think like one more of those or is that good?
One more would be great, thank you. Yeah. Okay, go ahead and pour that in the gray one and then mix it with the pitchfork that's leaning on the trash cans.
So you were saying a lot of the farming soil itself has lost nutrients because it's just been over farmed and
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's pressure from, the government offering subsidies to help people have food to eat that makes the farmers grow the same thing over and over again.
so like monocropping I heard is like actually a terrible way to grow food.
It is horrible.
Monocropping meaning one type of crop in the soil.
So you just have fields as far as you can see of corn. And the soil doesn't get the variety of other plants and different things going on.
Precisely, various factors.
I slept through the gym this morning, so.
I actually love doing physical labor that has a purpose instead of working out.
Totally.
Because then you're just like, I'm doing something actually important that's got a purpose, and it's just I happen to be like moving my body at the same time.
Yeah. Does that look mixed?
Yeah, it looks great. Okay, so now's the fun part. This is the soil stuffing part. And essentially, these garden socks,
Are these easy, just for people watching or listening that want to do this themselves? Is this all easy to get stuff? Like you can buy this from a garden center or something?
you can buy garden socks online from gardensocks.com. It's a separate company. We sell them locally. Yeah, we have a couple locally, but yeah, they're very easy to put together. And all you need are some zip ties, which they come with. Soil sources. We can maybe list those in the info for folks if they're in LA. And the compost source too, so you have a nice mix of really electric living material in here. And yeah, it's very easy to do and kind of fun. Once you get out here, we did 273 soil socks for the micro farm over there. So yeah, this is the fun part. You've mixed the soil in, And essentially the soil socks are easy to stuff. You kind of go in like this over and over again until they're already down there, and it keeps stuffing up. So if you want to give it a shot,
Sure.
you can keep on going, find a nice angle.
Shall I do one at the same time?
Yeah, here's the second one. And you can start by zip tying the open end.
It literally couldn't be easier.
I feel like this is the kind of skills that we should be teaching kids at school.
Oh,
Like how
yeah,
to grow
dude.
stuff like easily. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. School is so lame. We don't learn anything.
Yeah, I mean, it depends where, I guess, but I felt, majority of life skills I feel like you don't pick up from school.
No, dude. The
Especially with
mitochondria is the
food.
powerhouse
Yeah,
of the
especially
cell.
around food, yeah.
And before you start, just a little tip.
right?
Yep, did a great job. I just need to clip off the edge for you.
Nice.
Okay. There's a lot of things with school education that we need, and food that we need to change.
Have you been working with that kind of thing, like educating children with this kind of stuff?
Not so much yet. It's a little difficult to work with the school system as a contractor, as a vendor of services. And it's also tough to find land that they'll let you use. So you got to be kind of lucky that they already have a grant outlined for that and that they have an interest in it.
How much land do you need?
Oh yeah, well, it's more like what can I do with it once I get it, because there's some rules that allow you to dig deep in the ground and create a reservoir, and others that keep you from there. Really, it's just about providing a service that grows food automatically. There's this thing in school called school lunch loans, where kids who can't afford school lunch literally take on loan debt.
I can't believe that.
Me either.
Did
Isn't
you
that
see the
something?
story of the kid who they came and took his tray away?
No.
Because he had too much debt in the middle of lunch.
Oh my
They
God.
went and took his food away
That's
because he didn't.
absurd.
It's so absurd. Can you imagine being a literal child at school eating and you're already in debt? As a child.
I watched a documentary called Where to Invade Next by Michael Moore, and the whole thing is like the whole point is like, where can America steal ideas from, like good ideas from, about how to do things? And one of them was like schooling and particularly like food for children, because, and I don't think it's just America, but a lot of the Western world, like you just pump the kids full of sugar,
dude.
fizzy drinks, candy, like everything. I mean, I even remember growing up, like I just ate like chocolate bars, donuts, cans of Coke at school. Like it was like, there was no connection between what that does to
Well,
affect
Michelle
your
Obama
mind.
put something in. What do you remember? What her organization's called? That like they set requirements for kids in school to have certain nutritional needs met. But then the way that it was, the way they implemented it didn't make any sense, because they were giving kids trays of food that technically fit the standard that she put in place, but it was inedible, or like. Yeah, dude, there's so much wrong with it, and it's such a huge problem that takes so much to solve that it's overwhelming.
Yes,
Because what can you do? Yeah, okay, we made the step to say we have to do the nutritionally dense food, but also most schools can't afford it, or they're trying to make money. Ah! It makes me so mad. Sorry for screaming in your neighborhood.
I love that this whole thing came about because you were saying because you wanted to feed your kids, right? You wanted to learn how to like give real nutrition.
That's right, yeah. I just didn't see the options, and you know, I imagine every parent feels that way. Every parent who has a child, there's something innate that triggers inside you, and it's kind of protective on a father's level, it's kind of nurturing on a mother's level, but it's like very important just as a parent to provide.
Yeah, watching kids have to like eat junk food and processed food and frozen food because that's really the only option available. That's what really just like, it gets me like really worked up, to be honest.
And the worst case is that food is addicting,
Yeah,
and they don't know it's addicting.
the sugar and the sodium and the additives, yeah.
You know, it's literally designed to be addicting. Even KFC, and I mean, I shouldn't name them, but you know.
I in my
Sorry, what were you
20s.
saying about KFC?
Oh, these fast food joints, they're made of addictive foods
Yeah.
that hook them at early ages and give them 20 years to get off that stuff. It's crazy.
100%.
Uh-huh.
I went through that journey of being raised on frozen food, fast food, whatever we got on WIC or like food stamps or whatever it was. And then growing up, trying to break that thing. Like I had weight issues, I had body issues, I had metabolism issues, I had health issues.
yes.
It took me years to undo that. And I was only able to do it because I eventually started making money and meeting the right people and having time to access the information and work out properly. And it's just, my biggest dream in life would be if that's something that's implemented in schools, actual physical education, actual health class, how to eat, how to be healthy, how to work out in a way that is good for your mind and your body. Oh my God, school pisses me off.
Yes, it's a great place to do a lot of good and a lot of harm.
Yeah.
Right, what's next?
Great, so we have these now stuffed, everybody. This is a tomato seedling I've got left over, and I'm gonna show you how to plant this directly into the soil socks. And actually this will be a gift for one of the hosts or whoever is able to take it home today if you like it. And yeah, thank you guys for stuffing these. The easiest part now is saying, what will we put into it? So you pick it up like that, a little bit of a pinch, give it a little bit of a snip, and you've got a hole. In the hole, make a little space with 4 fingers. And for this one, it's a tomato, so this will be the only one that this takes. A tomato does need a lot of space in order to produce for you. Make it nice and deep, and then cover it up from the top.
That is so simple.
Very good. And it's just water. You can put this anywhere. So if you have a small wall, you can put it up against the wall like this and line many of them if you wish.
Oh, you don't even have to put it in the ground?
You
Will
don't
you
have to put it in the
eventually
ground.
need to like put a stake for the tomato plant to stick to? Or?
If you want to, or you'll be smart enough to put it next to something that'll stake it on its own. So like we could put it right here.
And then as it grows, it will just grow up the side.
Yeah, it'll use this thing. And we'll just keep watering it by hand if you want to. Or in my case, I created a system of automatic irrigation on the socks. So these are socks also on the outer edge of this whole median. And underneath it,
Oh, just like a little sock.
yeah, is irrigation. So it waters here with pond liner down there. You see it's white?
Did you teach yourself all this as you started this, or did you grow up?
Yeah, I learned this gradually. Yeah, lots of errors and trying it out.
Yeah.
And it irrigates and keeps it all in there.
That's awesome, dude.
So that's how I use soil socks at this house. But most important is that I collect my rainwater in this green bin here off of the house and the shed. It's like 530 gallons and almost always full. It's connected to a pump that irrigates what I showed you there and irrigates over here.
This is crazy.
So you've been teaching other people how to do this in their own yards?
Little by little, yeah. I've given like 1 or 2 workshops, but mostly it's about, showing folks what's possible. But yeah, we've got a lot of corn growing, some tomatoes, zucchinis, lettuces, peas, cannabis, grapes, plums, peaches, pears, lemons, limes, and bananas.
This is amazing, bro. So should we head over to the farm now?
Yeah, let's do it. You guys want to take anyone want to take either a small soil sock or the large one that I just moved over here?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I don't have to. Hell yeah.
Cool. It needs water right away when you get home, but
And then how often do I water it?
this one every other day.
And what is this?
A tomato.
Awesome.
I think it's-
can't wait to be a tomato farmer.
Sweet. We'll follow you then.
Yeah, great. I'll see you at the farm.
He told me actually. I think he said his
My armpits smell.
uncle. I've only got a men's body spray, but you're welcome to have some.
That's okay. I'm just gonna make everyone deal with it.
Yeah, what a dude. I love that he just did it. Like, I love that he just took the initiative and was like, I don't want to feed my kids crap. I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm just gonna like start learning.
Those kids are super lucky too because he saved them. I don't know if he has one daughter, if there were more kids in there. I only saw that his one daughter. But yeah, they're starting off life with one of the most important values, which is healthy eating, produce, vegetables. Kids don't like vegetables because a lot of times they're not given vegetables. They're just straight up like in nature, getting dirty. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
What an awesome guy.
Yeah. And I think like so many health issues are linked with bad diet, bad nutrition, that like getting a good nutritional diet like early on in life is.
What was it like growing up in the UK?
My parents said they fed me healthily, but I do remember eating a lot of frozen and tinned food. And then at school, I just feel like the school dinners were really bad. Like the school lunches were like I had like the ones the school provided.
Like pizza.
Yeah, pizza. We had like curly fries. We had like turkey swizzlers, which were like processed turkey, battered, deep fried. It was all like deep fried, very oily, sugary. I always had donuts and I guess it was my choice to pick those things. I didn't pick the fruit, but I feel like at home it was like we didn't eat junk food a lot, but
there was a very different standard of healthy.
Yeah.
When I grew up, did you have Sunny D in the UK?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, like to my family, like Sunny
That was
D
fruit
was
juice.
nutritionist.
Yeah.
Because it was vitamin D.
Yeah.
It's orange juice. No, dude, that was straight up a
chemicals.
drink. It was a sugary drink. Like Tang. I used to drink Tang all the time.
Every night before bed, I would have a glass of Ribena, which was like this blackcurrant sugar concentrate that you add water to. But it's just sugar. It's just pure sugar. So I'm thinking like that probably wasn't the best thing to drink before bed every night. And I remember never being able to sleep, but it's because I just drank tons of sugar.
Yeah.
I'm just like buzzing in bed. Like
We just didn't know.
I think the masses are waking up to health and nutrition, but also I feel like that might be the bubble that I live in, and maybe like rural majority of America or the UK like don't really still understand like what's healthy. Like
LA is also different than the rest of the
yeah,
world.
true, yeah. I was talking to a nurse that works in LA, and she didn't even really fully understand nutrition, and I was really surprised with the diet that she had for herself, because I was like, wait, you don't. It's almost like that whole thing of preventative healthcare versus like just dealing with symptoms. It's like instead of just like addressing the symptoms, it's like looking at the root cause. And I think a lot of the root cause of like heart disease and obesity and all of these things, which a lot of people in America struggle with, is their diet and nutrition. And it's so crazy to see healthcare workers who have not had nutrition be a part of their training.
Yeah, dude.
Not make that connection.
It's really nuts. And so many things are connected to your nutrition. Like you said, obesity or heart condition or things like diabetes.
So much, yeah.
Those are all, you can look at it and say, oh, well, it's your diet. But there's so many things that are attached to your diet that people don't pay attention to. Like your mental health is greatly affected by your
Even stress and
diet.
stuff. Like
Exactly.
if you're having a lot of caffeine, and which is my main vice, but if you're having a lot of sugar, caffeine, other things which are just going to be like sending you, kind of putting you in that mental state of just being on edge or whatever, that's definitely going to make an impact.
Yeah, there's so many things that we just don't know, even in terms of just like the addiction aspect of it. When you're craving sugar and salt and fats and a bunch of things that, healthy fats obviously, we want avocados, nuts and things like that. But if you're craving really, really fatty food, it's because you have an addiction. And people are so quick to look at Coke, heroin, literally anything else, they say, look at that addiction. When it comes to food, if you're raising children to need sugar and salt and all the additives and the chemicals, they continue to want those things. And when you try to withdraw from them, you have straight up withdrawals. You get sick, you start craving those things more. Like when I start cleansing myself of complex carbs and sugars, I'm a bitch, dude. It's because I'm going through withdrawal. My body wants candy.
It happened to me the other day with caffeine. I was like, I went from drinking like 6 cups of coffee a day, and I was like, this is getting out of hand.
6?
Yeah. I was like, this is getting out of hand. I need to go cold turkey, which I read later, like you shouldn't cold turkey from caffeine, but I did, and it was horrible. I was like headaches, grouchy, just like really tired.
I put myself through caffeine withdrawals for a video once, and it was a lot worse than I expected. And I was drinking like 1 to 2 cups a day, but I'm a very hypersensitive person physically and emotionally. So if there's a symptom or a side effect to be had, I will have it. So I stopped drinking coffee, cold turkey, muscle cramps, nausea, irritability, can't sleep. I was deeply depressed. Like, it was fucked up.
Yeah, because coffee genuinely changes my mood. Like if I'm feeling a bit like, I don't really get depressed, but if I was just feeling a bit demotivated, a bit like, a bit meh, and I have a coffee, I'm like, I love life.
Dude,
Woo!
I was having panic attacks when I was going through withdrawals
Yeah.
because it was such a severe change. But we have the same reactions to sugar and shit,
Yeah.
processed sugar. Obviously, like watermelon has a ton of sugar, but I'll sit down and eat 2 fucking whole watermelons. I don't care.
I think the difference is like fructose and glucose. So fructose is like the natural sugars that you get in fruit,
Yeah.
and then glucose is like the more whatever processed sugars and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was trying so hard to, for a long time, look for answers because I was mainly focused on weight because I had huge body image issues, I had eating disorder issues.
I'd love to talk a bit about that, like maybe on the way back.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Just because something that I've got 2 sisters, and I've seen a lot of my friends suffer through body image issues. Even like my fiance Raya, like there's a lot in culture that angers me about how women are treated and the expectations put on women. So I feel like let's pause that, but I definitely want to jump into that because I feel like that's something that I really want to see change in the future. Is like how do we
That's a big part of my series too. Is like that's why the series is so cool because it's not just covering drama. It's like eating disorders, neurodivergency, mental health, childhood trauma, and it just covers so much of the stuff that we're so afraid to talk about. And shit that I struggled with for a long time too. So yeah, I'm always down to talk about eating disorders and body image and the images that we're being inundated with all the time and how much worse it's getting with social media, with filters. And like when I get on TikTok, so much of it is young teens, and I am not opposed to cosmetic surgery at all. I get Botox, I get filler, I get things that make me more confident. But when I see these teenagers who still have like baby faces and they still have like their baby fat on their face and they're getting chin and cheek reductions and they're getting nose jobs while they're still in high school, I'm so happy that I did not get a nose job all the times that I wanted to, because now that I'm a 30-year-old woman and I'm really into myself and the things that make me unique, I'm so grateful that I still have an ethnic nose. Because if I would have succumbed to that at the beginning of my career, I get injections still to straighten it, and I probably will for a while, but I'm so happy that I don't have a Tinkerbell nose like everybody else, because that's not me, that's not my culture, that's not my heritage, it's not my grandpa, you know?
I have a question. Firstly, I agree, like it's your body, do what you want, anything that helps you cope with the pressures and helps you feel comfortable and confident.
Yeah.
If you could feel confident without needing to do any cosmetic stuff, would you choose that?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna do this shit forever. Definitely. Like right now, the reason I do it is because I know that as like an artist and performer, like I do want to be confident on camera, and I do want to just like, if I can make myself feel a little better when I watch back my shit, fine. And I don't think it's, you know, I wish that I was strong enough to just say like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't need Botox, but like, I do want to have a smooth forehead in my art, because to me, like, I want to look a certain way and it's not healthy. And I do like, honestly feeling a little called out right now. And I know you are.
I'm not trying to, because I mean.
But it's the truth.
It's not this, because it's not the same. What I've experienced is not quite the same, but the closest thing I've experienced is like I've got a receding hairline, and culture tells me that's something I should be ashamed of or embarrassed about. And for
my boyfriend's completely bald.
And for a while I was, and I was like wearing a bandana to cover my hairline because I was like, I don't feel comfortable on camera. I feel very self-conscious that my hairline's receding. I look old. It's like a lot of things about it was like, oh, this is, you know, I just felt confident wearing the headband, and it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, it's changing your appearance to feel more confident.
Yeah.
And I guess a headband is less permanent or whatever, it's the same thing. It comes from
the way I feel about like fillers and Botox and stuff is the stuff that I get done is stuff that people wear makeup to do. Yeah. So some girls wake up and they contour their nose every day. I'm just doing it permanently because I don't like wearing makeup, because I like to feel a little bit more natural. My skin breaks out really easily. Yeah. I find that I don't hug people as often. I don't touch myself as naturally because I don't want to fuck up my makeup. Yeah. So instead of doing my makeup every morning, I get injections to make my nose look a little bit straighter. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And just to reiterate, I wasn't like calling you out. Or
I know.
I'm just almost like.
It was a realization I had about myself as you said it, where I was like, oh wow, I'm contributing to the culture that makes me do the thing. And I wish that I was confident enough to just be like, no, this is my face naturally.
Yeah, and again, it's like in an ideal world, yes, but you also, and like I was saying, like are under such an insane amount of pressure and expectation that is projected onto you to look a certain way as a woman anyway, and then it being in the spotlight as well, having your whole careers having to be on camera, having to portray this perfect image. I totally understand the need. Well,
I also
to
just
feel
like, I don't think
confident.
there's something that bad about vanity. I think that it can cross a line where it's, you know, the 7 deadly sins. One of them is vanity, and I think that if you obsess over your entire life is about looking good, that's one thing. But there is something to be said about taking pride in your appearance and presenting yourself the way that you want and expressing yourself the way you want to be expressed. Animals do it all the time. Like, look at peacocks.
Yeah.
They're peacocking, or they're making their nest a certain way, or they're doing something to draw a mate. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, as long as I find it's important to be honest about what I'm doing.
Exactly,
because if
yeah.
you see my face and you're like, oh my God, like she's 30 and she looks like that. Yeah, because I have fucking 40 units of Botox in my forehead, so I don't have wrinkles.
Well, that's the key thing, isn't it? It's like not setting an expectation that it's not creating a false
Yeah.
expectation that like you haven't had anything done,
Totally.
or you're not using filters on Instagram.
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm definitely reversing my age, but like don't feel bad if you are aging gracefully.
Do you know what's interesting? Do you know what's interesting? I'm just thinking about this now. Like I thought about aging a lot, and that like I hear that there's like medical advancements that's going to help us stop aging or reverse aging. I would so do that. Like
That's
if
Botox.
if I could take a pill or some kind of injection that actually slow down aging, which elongate, maybe not. I mean, yes, my looks, like as I get really wrinkly and stuff, it'd be nice not to be, but
Oh,
it's
you
almost,
meant like well-being wise. I'm
I'm,
like,
not,
yeah.
I'm thinking lifespan wise as well. Like
Yeah.
if I could actually slow down the aging process
course.
so I could live longer and that kind of stuff,
course.
like, yeah, why not? And I think a lot of that is your diet and exercise and all of that, but I
Yes.
wonder whether there is going to be medical advancements as well. Right, let's go. I love these conversations. They're like all over the place.
Yeah.
Welcome. You can come up on the side there, and it's irrigating over here.
What does asante mean?
Thank you. Asante means thank you in Swahili.
Oh, look how nice they look.
Oh, this is cool.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, it looks so good.
So is this someone's house?
Yes, this is someone's house.
And they've just like donated their front or whatever, you're renting their front yard.
We're renting it, exactly. We have a land use agreement with them for a few years to share some of the revenue on what we're earning here, and then ultimately they gave us the space. So yeah,
I love how it's just so visible as well, so people really know it's here.
yeah, you
This
can
is
see
awesome.
downtown, and this is a big street. As many people drive by, you'll notice they either honk or they love seeing us out here. You know, many people stop by and just try to like buy it right up out front, but you know, we have a membership now where people sign up online and they're able to actually get this.
Do you want to talk us through all of the crops you have?
Oh my goodness, we have on the left to the right, there's thyme, oregano, green onions, basils, more basil here. These are like red Russian, I believe they're called, lettuces. These are all spinaches. And then these are green romaines.
Yeah.
Once we harvest this, we'll plug a new plant in there and just keep it going. Even the soil socks, they last for 2 years with the soil that we have in them. Some of the nutrients are drained into the reservoir there when it irrigates. When you water plants with recharged water through the foliar exposure, they take in more than just the roots. So we're doing more, and that's why it's growing so fast, because it's getting it through the leaves and the roots.
That's awesome, dude. This is so cool. And did you build all this stuff into this?
Yeah, we did. We built it all. It was just grass here. We hacked away at that, laid this pond liner in certain concave areas, and then dug the big reservoirs there.
So the families that are subscribing to get this, is it all local to here?
Yes.
Still super local.
Hyper local, within 2 miles, and we're encouraging people with a price difference to do pickup as opposed to delivery. So now that's off, and now this comes on. And again, you know, the angle allows it all to just drain right back down. Each of these are specifically adjusted to get the exposure of the corners and everything.
So that stops it getting waterlogged. 'Cause it just-
Exactly.
That's cool.
Not only that, if you see under there some piping underneath these, They're not connected to anything. They're just like half pipes cut and set on top of the pond liner, but it creates channels that the water flows faster through. Yeah.
I'm going to be learning all of this stuff at some stage, like how to grow stuff.
And it's good, man. I'm going to let you guys try some in a minute, but man, it's like so delicious. This spinach is delicious. The green chard, let me show you the chard. We have rainbow.
How does it compare price-wise for someone that's subscribing to get this fresh stuff versus buying stuff in Whole Foods or something like
That's a great point. This is way cheaper and way healthier than Whole Foods. And that's because we're doing it on such a small scale and the operational costs are still very low. So if people are picking up, we don't pay on delivery costs or staffing to do that. All we do is grow it, harvest and wash it, package it, and that's it. Yeah, it's literally repetitive business. You know, Whole Foods and others, they've got to do a whole lot of partnership marketing and, you know, supply chain. Yeah, you know, this is very simple.
So what's the cost? What's the monthly cost? Is it different amounts or is it like a set fee and they get like a certain amount of vegetables?
Yeah, right now we have pickup for $36 a month, which is $9 a week. It's crazy, and it's a huge bag of food too. Wow. So like $9 a week basically, and then $43 for delivery for the same thing every week, which is just bizarrely cheap. At a farmer's market for $9 you can get maybe two heads of something, but we're giving you a whole bag of a variety of things that's right here and super fresh harvested, so it feels energizing when you eat it. Like I ate it for breakfast this morning. Our first harvest was yesterday, so I just want you to know how new this is. This is very new, our very first harvest.
I assumed you've been going for like a couple years.
Oh no,
this is brand new.
Brand new. I've been doing Crop Swap LA for a couple years, but this just happened. Like we literally had the grand opening a week ago and our first harvest
I feel
Sunday.
really privileged that we're here.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So what's the dream? What's your, like, talking to a wider audience, like what would you love for this to evolve into? What kind of support do you need? Yeah. Do you need more people buying stuff? Do you need more land to like pop up another farm?
Yeah, well, if there are folks looking to do this, you know, there are multiple ways to keep this vision moving. Yeah. I envision that one day we have 400 of these in Los Angeles. This being the first one, you know, we have so much space in this town, a variety of locations, and especially being a private arrangement with someone we can make the deal with right away, as opposed to going through city land and the process of that. So, you know, in the meantime, I'm looking to make this my salary and salary for staff members. Looking to get a truck at some point that we can do more of these projects in different parts of the town. Yeah. I have a small Mini Cooper and I've been fitting a lot of equipment into that thing. It's just like, it's ready to give up now. Like a legitimate truck, yeah. But you know, land is easy to come by. It just depends on the people and the agreement they're willing to take on. So it could be a church where we grow food for that community. It could be a school where they give us a vendor fee to grow food for that community. Or it could be an apartment building where similarly they pay us as a fee to install it, grow food, and keep it going for their own people. So really there are a lot of options, a lot of possibilities. And this being the first that recycles water, there's never been something like this in the history of gardening. I think now we can call ourselves gardening engineers because we figured out how to recycle water.
When you say recycle the water, you mean from the rainfall?
From the irrigation. It drains back down into the reservoir and uses itself over and over.
I know very little about farming.
That's okay, yeah, no worries. Well, down there we cut 2 big holes. Do you see the pumps on the bottom? That's one on the right and one on the left. They're giant 7 feet deep holes. They each together fold about 660 gallons of water. So now imagine these numbers. This grass, right, used to use 800 gallons of water every day to water itself. That's a mass amount of water and money. Wow. And now we're only using 65 gallons of water to create food because it's recycled.
And it looks so much cooler.
Yeah, like a little bit of it, evaporates, a little bit of it goes.
Does it have to be downhill like this?
Yeah, it does. So what we would do with a flat place is we would excavate and put that dirt up so we can create a hill that didn't exist. And that's what my goal is for like a smaller yard.
I love that you're really thinking about everything, like water conservation. Like I wouldn't have even thought about that. I'd just be like, oh yeah, I just have to water what I have to water. What's the best way for people to reach out if they want to support or maybe they want to do something similar in their city, like they want to kind of take inspiration from what you've done?
Yeah, well, if folks want to do a formal consultation, I can spend an hour giving them instructions and helping them find resources in their town. We do that virtually or in person here in LA if you're local. But otherwise, you know, if you just want advice or if you want a collaboration, I'm totally open to that. If there are resources we can share, I'm open to that. But you know, really the context is so specific. Like water conservation isn't as important if you're in like Seattle or somewhere else, Chicago. You know, growing year round isn't possible in some places, you know. So really catering to your context and growing where you can. Just got to do something. Definitely start somewhere.
Yeah. And what's the best way for them to contact you? Is it through the website CropSwap LA or?
Yeah, cropswapla.com or info@cropswapla.com.
You're such a cool, awesome person.
Thank you.
It just takes a certain type of person to see a problem and not only want to do something about it, but like you really did it. You figured it out and like you researched it. Dude, you learned how to farm. You're awesome. You're such an incredible person.
Yeah, I love the initiative. It's like, hey, I've got this problem. I want to like eat more nutritionally. I want to help people get better food, and then it's like not waiting for somebody else to come along and solve that problem.
While
It's like-
providing for your family too. Like you really you figured out how to make a job out of helping the world. You're awesome. Really awesome.
Yeah, the dream would be that like we can bring micro farming back to the Western world, like in the same way that like I was saying, like my fiance's grandparents grow all their own food. Like I feel like that was something, my dad grew up on a farm, you know what I mean? It's like, I know a lot of modernization and like building huge systems to do stuff in our lives good in some ways, but I feel like that whole way of advancing is also we've actually lost the connection with the better ways of doing stuff.
That's right, yeah. And that's who we always are going to be.
Yeah.
Irrespective of one day we all have technology connected to our bodies and we're like working in some weird lockstep together, we're still going to be humans at the core and like notice a smell or a flavor or a sound that's nature, and that nature calling is going to be stronger than anything else.
Yeah. I think we've pushed so far in one direction where I think we've all been kind of scared of where the world might be going with the way that the trajectory is scary. But I think that we might be reaching a point, and this might be the beginning of it, where people like you, like us, see different ways to get back to who we are as people. And who we are as people is we are with the land. We're supposed to enjoy nature. We're supposed to eat off nature. We're not supposed to be going to these huge, monopoly stores and buying nutritionally empty produce. This is so cool. Like I can't express to you how much I think you're awesome.
I think as well, like there's something in the patience of gardening, and like you said, you wait a month for something to grow that we've lost in the modern society. It's like I want it now, it's convenience, and I understand like if you're busy, that is a reality as well, but it's like there's something very meditative and grounding and being present with like realizing this is like a natural cycle. And I feel like you're actually more grateful when you've waited a month for something to literally grow out of nothing and then you eat it. And I feel like we consume so wastefully, and it's just such a throwaway culture that
I throw away so much produce because like my boyfriend will bring stuff home and I'm like, ugh, and then we just throw away blueberries, boxes of lettuce, like plastic boxes of lettuce.
You guys want to try some stuff?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
cool. I'll get a glove on and I'll harvest a little bit for you. I have a personal favorite out here. It's the chard.
Yeah.
The chard that's right behind you, the yellow rainbow, yellow, orange, red, and pink.
This one here? Oh yeah, I can see the stems. Some are pink and some are yellow.
You guys want to try one?
Absolutely.
As I learn how to harvest this week.
I can just eat this straight.
You can straight up eat it. I'll give you a yellow one, love.
You can't eat it unless you put dressing on it.
Would our cameraman like one as well, or later on? I'll give you some later if you want. Yeah? All right.
I can't believe how full of flavor that is.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that.
I can't offer some and not take some.
Oh my gosh.
It tastes seasoned.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. It really does.
It actually, doesn't it taste seasoned?
You're all smiling. I love it.
Realize how bad quality mass-produced is.
Until you try what it's supposed to taste like. There's a lot of flavor, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not your fault you're throwing away a mass of, heads of lettuce from the store. They've been on the shelf for like 2 weeks. And, places that are islands have an even worse food security issue than we do. Places like Puerto Rico that are islands, they wait for weeks to get it, and then they get it.
Yeah.
It's already been harvested weeks before that.
It's almost like it's almost overwhelming how much flavor there is because I'm not used to it. It's very confusing. Imagine a wrap, like what this was the wrap, and you fill it with the food.
Yeah, that is mind-blowing. I'm not just saying this to the camera. This is mind-blowingly tasty.
I'm so happy.
Whoa.
You guys make me so happy to see this and hear this.
That's just awesome.
This is making me so excited about growing my own food. I'm just going to be every day out in the garden just like this.
This does have like a garlic taste to it, doesn't it? A little bit. I'm telling you, dude. Like this is like.
This feels so good for my body. Like my body's just celebrating like, oh yeah.
That is the feeling I'm talking about. There needs to be a word for that. For those of you that are in Germany, sometimes German has long words that have very specific meanings. Please tell us if there's a word that means my body feels great after eating this.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I can actually go vegan starting this week now that we've done this.
Yeah.
Because I have enough food. Yeah.
this week?
I want to. I just have the opportunity now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I love your shirt,
incredible.
and it's a lifestyle. It's a philosophy. It's a it's an energy. How do you say it's a karma?
Yeah.
You know. But without the opportunity, when folks, like no one else has the opportunity to do it. They can choose to, but they're resorting to those lower quality nutrient foods at the grocery stores that cost too much and are closing down.
Yeah.
You know, literally they have no other option. And that's what I call food slavery, actually. You know, when you don't have an option because the actual market has restricted you as a consumer. You're forced to keep eating, but just what's around. So now we're giving people options and saying, like, if you really want to be a vegan, you can get a hefty bag of our veggies every week and make that your meal every single time. It's
Did
delicious.
you start doing this because of your kids? Do you think? I'm sorry. Do you have one daughter?
One
or
daughter, yeah.
did you start doing this because of her?
Totally, yeah. And it's like the moment you realize that a kid is dependent upon you, or like the atmosphere is not healthy for a kid, and you have a solution, is like all I can focus on after that. You know, like I can solve that problem, and to solve it for many people. And those that are parents are incentivized to pay a lot to solve it and to invest time to solve it and their own efforts to solve it. So this is just offering the city and residents a solution that they can pick up and use if they want to. I'm hoping to create a business where we not only make money from the initial investments on a sliding scale, so those that are wealthier can pay for this right up, and those that are lower income can get it paid for by grant money perhaps. And then the
Or you could do like a buy one, donate one model where like wealthier people can be like, yeah, I'll buy mine and like one other person.
That's precisely it, and what a great honor that would be for their family to be able to do and drive by and see and know that they were the ones to help that happen.
Well, thanks for showing us around
And for lunch.
Yeah, I'll give you some more. Let me offer some spinach.
not turn it down.
I know, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm so glad we managed
we
to
rolling
get the
backwards?
timing right. Oh yeah, look at
Oh my god.
Sorry. Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay.
How was that for you?
That was dope. I thought that was really amazing. I think he's such a cool, inspiring guy.
He's very chill. Like I feel like he's quite humble, you know?
Yeah, I think he's just like, he's one of the people who's evolved mentally past a place that most people can get. Like, he sees past the consumerism and capitalism that I remember hearing people talk about that when I was a kid and young adult, of just like, okay, like hippie. But now that I understand it, I understand it.
Yeah.
And once you understand something, it's hard to ignore it. But what he did was actually take the step of saying, well, how do I provide a better life for my daughter? How do I actually do something about the problem that I've been facing? And he's inspiring someone like me who's seen the problem and been passionate about the problem, but not enough to activate.
Yeah.
And now I feel like, because it's hard, right? When you're first, what do you do? There's a global food crisis. There's a national food crisis. There's health issues associated with that. There's a poverty crisis. What do we do?
Yeah.
And he figured it out. He's like, oh, we make fucking farms. This is what we get back to. Like, we're reverting back and reversing all of the technology and convenience that we've built for ourselves. And I think that people are starting to crave the simplicity of what human nature is. To grow food, to eat food, to enjoy nature, to have a family, to you know what I mean? It's just natural.
I think the thing as well with all of these, like going back to how things were and like almost rediscovering the lost ways that, you know, previous generations had.
Yeah.
It's like, firstly, I think it's way more personable. Like you could even see with those random people that just stopped, like
Yeah.
you have a conversation, it's face to face, you know, like the person that's growing your food, like there's a relationship there, and it's less of this like detached, robotic kind of like, there's no personal connection.
Yeah.
And then I also think like what he's doing and I think we are doing in certain areas of our lives is like questioning what's considered like just the normal way of doing things, and saying, hey, hang on, maybe the normal way of doing things, like going to a huge supermarket, buying cheap produce, not really researching where it's come from or how nutritious it is, like all of that kind of stuff, like it's questioning that. It's like questioning, is the way that we do things as society actually is it the right thing for us?
I remember my friend told me one time that he would wonder, did people do it right? Because there's so many ways that the world could have gone, and the direction that we took it was skyscrapers and cars and supermarkets and convenience and different types of jobs, where at the end of the day, your entire purpose on this planet is to survive and procreate and continue your lineage. That is what all of nature is to procreate and survive. So we took procreation and survival, which was grow your own food, grow the things you need, and what we turned it into was, oh, well, we can pay somebody else to do that for us, but it's because you need me to figure out plumbing. And then gradually more and more jobs were created until we got to a point where we're all in these big buildings with windows running off electricity. Did we do it right? Was that the way that we were supposed to do it? Or were we supposed to kind of stop at like, okay, there's a farmer's market. Now, I'm the person who's going to teach the kids at school. And now because of that, I'm going to, in exchange for you growing the groceries every Sunday we go to the farmer's market, that became, well, look at us, we have a market that's open all the time and you don't have to wait a week. And it just went and went and went and went. So now we have competing markets. And now those grocery stores have to undercut costs or supply something that the others don't, which is whole food organic, but we're gonna charge you more food for it. So now the basic necessities of what we wanted is food and nutrients is now, but only if you're rich. And then we created money to make that, you know?
Yeah, well, I love that his final thing he said was like, it's getting nutritional food is like the equalizer. So it's the opposite of that. Only the wealthy get to have the organic, like, tasty food. And this is where I think it's just, like you said, reverting back to, like, you know, what it should be, which is like everyone should have access to healthy nutritional food that they can grow, and that will have a ripple-on effect to like mental health, physical health, everything. I think there's a few key pillars in life that help us thrive, and that I think food is one of them. You know, food, shelter, education, opportunity.
Access to healthy food should not be something that you should strive for. Like when you're growing up and you think about, okay, what do I want in life? I want a home, I might want this type of, I might want a boat, I might want these things, and as you make more money and you become successful, and at the end of the day, not everybody is ever going to be level. Like because then we wouldn't have a desire to be better and take the initiative to do those things. So I don't think there's a problem with some people having more money or living a different lifestyle. The problem comes in when basic human needs, like female, like, what's it fucking called? There's an overarching word for it, but like pads and tampons and shit like that. That shouldn't be the thing that if you're rich, you can have access to it. Or like, you know, some girls can't afford tampons. And that food is another one. You shouldn't have to be rich to be able to eat in a way that is good for your body. That's a basic human right. That's something that other humans took away as a basic human right. And we need to get back to, everybody needs to be good. And then if you want a boat, you can have a boat. If you want a bigger house, you can have a bigger house. But is everybody eating first?
Yeah. I'd love to hear, we touched on it a little bit, but like a bit more of your story with
eating.
Yeah, eating, you personally not having access to good food, and then the repercussions that's had for your life and body image and all that kind of stuff.
So I grew up pretty poor, and part of it was that, part of it was also just not having the knowledge, part of it was not having, you know, people in my life who were caring about that type of thing. So I grew up eating with a very skewed perception of what healthy was. I was also raised in diet culture, especially in the 90s. Diet culture is still very alive and well today, but diet culture in the 90s was very calorie oriented. So if you, the one example that I saw one time that really stuck with me and made me want to make a change in my lifestyle and the way that I was viewing the world and food and health and nutrition was a pack of 100 calorie banana muffins, like those little 100 calorie snacks, 100 calories, or a banana, which is 110 to 120 calories. So if you're looking at calories, the 100 calorie pack of muffins is a better snack, but obviously it's not. Obviously,
way
the
less
banana,
nutrition.
yeah, the banana is better for you. So I was in a mindset of calories and calorie intake versus outtake. So I need to be working out a lot to burn off the calories. And then I realized that's not what matters. So that was, once I hit that, it was still like a 5-year journey to figure out where I'm taking it too far, because then I moved from forms of bulimia or food restriction to orthorexia, which is an obsession with calories and macros and working out. And in my head, I was healthy because I was doing what a nutritionist said, I was doing what a trainer said, but most of my day was focused around that. Every single waking moment, I was thinking about my next meal because the last one did not fulfill me. So I would wake up, immediately want breakfast, and then I'm counting down the hours until I allow myself to have lunch again. And in between, I'm training. And then I'm also not allowing myself any type of sugar or treat or anything outside of what I deemed an okay food. And then I'm just craving shit all the time. So then if I'm in a situation where I'm like if somebody brings a box of chocolates over as a gift, it's bad. It's like a whole mental frenzy, and then I'm chewing them up, I'm spitting them out. I am eating them all, but then feeling bad about it. Then I'm not working out way too aggressively and not eating anything else for the rest of the week to try to rid myself of the crime that I committed by eating the chocolate. Now, finally, I'm in a place where I eat what I want and I eat when I want. Like, I haven't eaten yet today. I'm getting a little hungry, but like, I used to have to wake up and eat breakfast immediately because I was so starved from the day before. Now I eat when I'm hungry, I eat when I'm full, and I have access to the things that I want, so that when I actually have them, I might have 3 Girl Scout cookies instead of chewing and spitting out 4 sleeves of it. You know, it's fucked up.
So obviously there's like the element of it which is not understanding nutrition, maybe having a poor diet when you're younger, and that not helping you kind of get a healthy like view of food. But I think also, and this is kind of delving into a whole nother topic, is like this whole thing of like, we live in a culture which has this incredibly toxic pressure, particularly on women. And I think it kind of is there for guys as well, but I personally haven't felt a ton of it. But there is obviously a physical expectation, but I think for women especially, and I think it ties into being sex objects, being objectified by men, living in a patriarchal, misogynistic culture where, you know, for decades, if not centuries, women have been expected to look a certain way, behave a certain way, and essentially there for men's pleasure. And I, having, you know, like I said, I've got 2 sisters and have talked to a lot of friends who have struggled through all this. Like, I'm very passionate about how do we start dismantling a culture where women have such unrealistic beauty standards and body standards, and also the goal's always changing. So it's like, what's trendy this year? Oh, it's like the whole like thick, thin, the whole like,
I was just telling
big
somebody,
boobs,
I think
small
that
boobs.
small asses are going to be back soon. I remember when I was growing up in the 90s, that was like
super skinny, right?
It was, does my butt look big? And then it went to like, oh my God, is my butt not big? And it switched, and I think it's going to reverse soon. Because what we see now is the Kardashians are off air. The people that are coming up, like Britney Spears is back, and she was the quintessential flat thin white female body.
Yeah.
And then we see the young TikTok white teenage girls coming up. And then we also see Miley Cyrus making a massive statement. And she's always been a pretty up and down person, which is beautiful. But I think that the trend is going to be reversing again into the direction of being ultra thin instead of finding this happy balance. It's the same with eyebrows. Like our eyebrows go from thin to thick, and now it's getting back to looking thin.
So what I've noticed is it's rare that there's okay, all of these body types are acceptable.
Yes.
It's always this is the thing that men find attractive, and it's what I've been on my own journey with is what I've been on with my own journey is I was conditioned as a guy by Hollywood, by music videos, by certain expectations of I was told what was sexy, what was attractive, and I've had to realize, why do I think that? What has it contributed to? Because I know different parts of the world and different cultures see different things as sexy, so I had to almost deprogram, and a part of that has been following a lot of Instagram accounts of women celebrating women of all shapes and sizes, and that's actually helped me.
I've been doing that right now too, because I hated my body so much.
It's not that I ever followed just tons of bikini models anyway. I wasn't perving on girls on Instagram, but wherever I looked, whether it's billboards, music videos, all over the internet, and being in LA where there's probably even a higher pressure into being out and about to look a certain way. I think a big wake-up call for me was
This summer when I deleted my social media, and that time I've always been insecure about my body, particularly my stomach, because I'm just a pretty curvy person all over, which means I carry extra fat on my hips, on my ass, on my legs, and that never really bothered me, but I was always so insecure about my lower stomach. And that was something that that's all diet, that's crunches, that's to let my body run the way that is comfortable. I'm not going to naturally have a flat stomach unless I really try. So I just finally got to this point where all my friends always hyped me up, and they were like, oh my god, I wish I had your body, you're an hourglass, you have the hips and the boobs and whatever. And I'm like, but what about my stomach? And all they were seeing was my shape and my vibe and everything. And then I was looking at my friends, and I asked myself, they want my body, and then these are their insecurities. That's so interesting, because I never looked at my friend Irene in that way. I never looked at my friend Molly that way. I never looked at Taylor that way. I've always seen really strong, sexy, beautiful women, and that's what they see in me. So why am I not seeing that in myself? Why am I picking myself apart the way I would never pick apart Irene? You know what I mean? And she doesn't have the ideal Instagram body either, but she's sexy and hot, and I've never thought otherwise. So now I'm just let's show them. This is a female stomach. I'm gonna show you what a female stomach looks like. My mic's off for a sec. This, I'm gonna have my underwear. This stomach right here, this fat that I'm pulling, there we go. That's because I'm a 30-year-old woman, and my body wants to protect my uterus. So
this is what I was gonna say, and Raya brought this up with me. Recently, I think she'd had this realization that she sends so much. She's the same way. She sends so much hate.
Sorry, I'm distracting. Wait 1 sec.
Do you wanna?
It might be because you're breaking. Oh wait, here we go. Let it go. We got it.
You got it?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, Raya had this realization recently, and it's the same thing. It was female bodies are supposed to have fat on your stomach, because one of the most miraculous things in the world is being able to create life from your body. And the fact that she sends, and has for years, sent so much hate to the very part of her body which is going to create life, hopefully, we plan to have kids, there's something really fucked up about that.
Exactly.
Where you're almost cursing the most beautiful part of your body. And this is something that kind of made me cry almost, because I was just why have we created a culture, or buy into this culture, where women having fat in their stomach is considered ugly or not wanted? It's gross.
But
really,
men also deal with that shit too.
Okay.
And I think it should be noted, because Very appreciative, by the way, the way you started by saying like women are, we have it harder. And I do think that's true in a lot of ways. But like my boyfriend, for example, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, like he's a 6'5" guy. He carries weight because he's a 6'5", just like very big guy. Like he is broad, he towers over people. He's just a big guy.
Yeah.
So for him, maintaining that body is a lot differently than other people with different metabolisms, with different body types. Like you and him have very different body types. He's sexy, he's strong, I feel so safe when I'm with him. I don't think anything of it, but he also sees men with six packs, like him, he's already so large as a person that when somebody that big walks into a room, you notice because he takes up space. So when you have insecurities, people are already looking at you because you're a big, tall guy. And now like, we have a pool party and of course he's insecure to take off his shirt in front of people because most of my friends are small. So like he still has to deal with that. And like, just because he's a man and it's like, oh, well, women are sex objects, like guys still get judged for being fat. Guys still get judged for not having a hot body. Like when you ask a girl what she's attracted to, who's she pointing to? Probably the guy with the hot body, right? So guys deal with it too. It's just different because guys aren't often sold as sex objects. And if men fall short of being sexy, it's he's rich, he's funny. Because women, I think, are naturally a little bit less, we're looking for different things. Obviously, these are all generalizations, but it's kind of everybody. At the end of the day, our body is meant to be celebrated because what my body does every day is it wakes me up and it helps me do the shit I want to do. So I want to keep it healthy and strong, but who am I trying to impress? People on Instagram? My boyfriend doesn't mind my lower belly. My best friends don't mind my lower belly. My cats don't mind my lower belly. Anybody who's in my life who I care about doesn't give a fuck about the cellulite on my thighs. Promise you that.
I also think maybe you're aware of it, but I think you might underestimate when you make posts like you did the other day, celebrating your body and being like, this is me, I love my body.
You're referring to the TikTok?
Yeah, I think I saw one on your Instagram, you in bikini and you were just like showing off your body.
Yeah.
For me, the girls that follow you that will feel a sense of empowerment from that, you can't underestimate that because you're saying, and they probably follow a ton of like stick thin, like perfect Instagram model bodies, and they're constantly comparing themselves to, and you're showing, I'm a real woman, this is what my body looks like, and don't be ashamed of it. Like that's giving them permission to love their own body. So
and
I
it's
feel
all
like
lighting
that's
and angles
powerful.
too. Like if you see my legs in the first take when I stand up where I'm showing the asymmetry in my boobs and my stomach, my legs look completely smooth. And then I have another shot in the sun where you see a lot of ripples and cellulite. And what was surprising to me about that TikTok is I thought it was gonna be a lot harder to post. I thought that I was gonna look at it and be kind of uncomfortable and then have to fight through it and be like, post it, you should post this. But then I looked back at it and I was like, oh, I'm actually like really hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I never realized that until I allowed myself to just, like, I would have never allowed myself in any context, even by myself, to sit down with my bare stomach out and just let that be okay. So I thought I was gonna look back at that footage and be so sad. And then I looked back at the footage and I was like, oh no, I'm like really healthy. This is awesome.
Well, I think we are at a tipping point, hopefully, where different body types are celebrated more, that young people growing up are getting less and less pressure to compare and look a certain way. I know it is really intense right now and I know it's happening, but I feel like it's slowly getting better, and I feel like what I really hope is that over the next few years, decade, where that there's like a shift where there's not this same toxic, horrific pressure on women that they're constantly thinking about their bodies like 100 times a day and how they look. And I feel like, and I know I say women again because I do think it's more intense for women.
I think so too.
And I think if we can, I watched this amazing documentary called Misrepresentation, like misrepresentation, and there was a quote in it, I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, imagine if all the time that women wasted thinking about how they look and hating their bodies and stuff was spent on being productive and doing the stuff they really loved in life. Like how much further women would advance. And it's almost like it's a trap that was set up to keep women down.
Well, we are, because when you really look back at other cultures, and even women have been placed in an impossible role, because at the end of the day, nature is female. It's about reproduction. Women are goddesses. Men and women are equals, but women create life in a way and carry life and nourish life. And we reversed that role, and a lot of it had to do with like religion. Because if you think about what should be something that's so beautiful and amazing, childbirth, we were told as Catholics, at least growing up, that the reason childbirth hurts is because Eve disobeyed God.
Oh, and it's like a punishment.
Yeah, childbirth and menstruation and stuff was a punishment. And so was wearing clothes. And I was laying out on the balcony, ass naked, tits out with my best friend, and we were just like on the sun sunbathing for hours, and it wasn't weird at all. And it was the first time both of us had done that, and we were talking about how it is pretty European to do that. It's not strange. Like, why would it be weird for me and my friend to be naked together? There's no sexual feeling here. Like, we're just women in the sun, in nature. And it's because Eve, because she ate the apple and because she gave it to Adam, they were now ashamed, and there was guilt, and now we have to wear clothes to hide ourselves because of the shame that we are now aware of, because we ate this forbidden fruit that woke us up to shame. So everything like involving sexuality, human bodies, childbirth, the most beautiful things in the world, there are breasts that feed and nurture our children, need to be covered. Men don't need to be covered on their chest. Women do. The things that nurture our children are sexualized and hidden because of what Eve did.
Yeah.
And that's like how we're raised. Even if you're not raised religiously, societally, that's how women are looked at, because we were told, cover up, don't show this, don't be sexual. It's fucked up, dude. It's a lot. I don't know where I got on that tangent, but
No, it's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess what I'm acknowledging is that the world is harder for women, especially in the entertainment industry, to succeed. And I just wanted to acknowledge, firstly, it's amazing, despite all of the kind of hurdles you've had thrown at you, that you're still really such a leader and such an influencer in a good way.
thank you.
In this space, and that I feel like it's exciting that you're passionate about using your artistry, your music, your influence, being a social kind of personality, being in the entertainment space to help free people from the things that you've found freedom from. And I think it's going to be a continuous journey of you,
I hope so.
like, battling through some of this stuff, because I feel like the path that you've chosen isn't at all an easy one. And I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you. Well, it takes people like you also, especially as a man, to use that type of privilege to acknowledge those things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when women speak up about that stuff, it's met with, oh, women have it just as good, if not better than men, because women are taken care of and you expect us to pay for food and dinner and dates and all this shit. Like, we provide these beautiful lives and homes for you. And it takes men and women and all people to just say we are all equals. And that's not just men and women, that's race, that's religion, it's everyone. No matter what you believe, no matter what you celebrate, how you were raised, what you look like, everybody should have these very basic feelings of self-esteem and self-confidence. Because when you don't have self-esteem, not even just like a physical thing, the sense of self, this is who I am, this is my purpose, I deserve to be here. When you don't have that, That's what depression is. That's what anxiety it is. Because then you're walking around on life wondering, what the fuck is the point? I'm spending my whole life trying to look good to get a man who doesn't treat me well, or fit a role that I'm not even sure that I want. I just want ultimate freedom for everyone, in yourself, whatever that looks like.
What do you think you've learned over the last year about like racial equality and understanding your privilege as a white passing? Because you're like Middle Eastern, but you're
Definitely
kind of white passing.
That's why I would never. Oh my God! One time I saw this person. I won't say the celebrity, but everybody was piling onto the celebrity, and there was this girl who had her hair bleached just like me. Like you look at her, she's a white girl, and she was a quarter Lebanese. And she used that she had the audacity she was trying to take a job away from a person of color. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, because she's like, I'm a person of color too.
Yeah, because she's Lebanese. Like Middle Eastern, okay, yeah, it's a person of color, but like you're white in terms of the way society views you.
Exactly.
She wasn't trying to take away an opportunity from a person of color. She was being a bitch at a restaurant and you happen to be the waitress. You know what I mean?
So what do you think you've personally, because obviously it's been like a really interesting year with the Black Lives Matter movement, and even like I heard yesterday that there's been another shooting.
I haven't heard.
Yeah, it's just endless, but I feel like there was something for me that was different last year where a lot of people woke up to what's going on.
Yeah.
And although the Black Lives Matter movement's been going on for years, I feel like last year it really like
the
hit
first time
home
I talked about Black Lives Matter was 2016.
Yeah.
So I've been talking about it for a while, and I remember that was the first time I posted a video where people were saying unsubscribed in 2016.
Wow.
And I did not give a fuck, because those aren't the people that you want to follow you. But then I feel like I got more and more reserved with it, because I felt like as I was dealing with a lot of scrutiny, my intentions were always being misconstrued.
So you didn't want to like say the wrong thing.
Yeah, I was super nervous because it's super touchy, and I remember it was one of the calls we were on. It might have been Shelly who said it.
Yeah.
Or it might not have been her, actually. Somebody said what happens is the woke Olympics, where you start trying to say something to help, but then somebody's, like the black squares were a great example, where it was people like, okay, we're all going to post a black square to black out social media and show solidarity. But then once that happened, people said, well, you posting the black squares is actually drowning out the importance of black voices. So by you posting a black square, you're making this about yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's like, fuck, dude, I don't know what to say. I don't know where to point it. I don't know where to direct it.
And then it's easier just to say nothing. Yeah.
And that's what I did for a minute, because I was very self-centered for a while, and that was conversations we had where I was like, dude, I'm sorry, like I want to be here, but like I am not mentally well, and I need to figure out myself before I can start throwing myself into this, because I need to know how to say it. And what for me that where I found the peace of like, what is holding me back? And what I was afraid of was me trying to speak out against something that I've been passionate about for a long time and in behind the scenes, and people pulling up a Vine from 2013, 2014, a tweet from 2015, and saying, you're performative. You don't actually care. And I didn't want to deal with that because I was already dealing with so much hate. It's like the last thing I want right now is for people to call me a racist because of a Vine in 2015. So I'll stay silent. And that was a selfish move on my part. So finally, where I came to freedom is, here it is. Here are all of the Vines. Here are the tweets. Here are the mistakes that I made. Here is why I made them, because I don't want you to make the same one. This isn't an excuse. This is my reasoning. And hopefully we can all move on and grow from this. I don't want to address this shit again, but I will if I have to. Now I feel like I'm in a place that I can actually talk about it, because it's all out there. I'm not afraid. I'm not ashamed. People do a lot and don't do a lot out of shame and fear.
And it's a shame that we live in a cancel culture right now, where like as soon as somebody tries to speak out about something good, people want to hold them to this like impossible standard of like, oh, but maybe you did one wrong thing like years ago, and as if that invalidates you wanting to do good now. And I understand people need to be held accountable, but in a way that helps them grow, not in a way that like shuts them down. And there are things that people do need to be stripped of their platforms because of like, if it's really serious and But I feel like the majority of the time people are like cancelled. It's not that. It's
Yeah.
stuff that they could easily learn from.
And the way I see it is
And
the
we're all
whole
human,
point
you know.
of all of these conversations is because you want to take somebody who has some racist ideology, which I think that's a big part of it. Is nobody likes to be called racist because I did racist shit. I wasn't a racist person, but like I made racist content because I didn't realize that it was racist.
Yeah, we
racist-
contribute to the
Exactly.
bigger picture. Yeah.
Racism at its core is something that is based in race and something was done because of race. So if I made a joke that was a black joke, that was about black people, that is racist. No, I wasn't racist. I grew up with all black friends and that was my thing is I grew up in a black neighborhood.
Yeah.
All my friends were black. All my friends in the vines and videos were black. I'm not racist, but I was. So that's the thing is I think people get really like, oh my God, like I'm not racist. But the point is you want people to learn. So by telling somebody that you've made a joke or you had an idea before and thus now you cannot speak or believe this way because look at how you were before, that's completely going against everything that you're saying you want, which is for people to learn. We're not trying to find people who were never racist and change them.
Yeah.
We're trying to find people who are racist and change them.
I think the key is with all of these kind of things is I get defensive as well. If I'm accused of something, my natural reaction, as most people's are, is to get defensive.
Yeah. Is yours your hair?
It depends. Yeah, like I've had comments about my hair, cultural appropriation and stuff. But I feel like for me, if we can go into situations being willing to learn and being willing to say, hey, look, I have this outlook, I have this experience, but I'm willing to learn and re-educate myself and have a deeper understanding.
Yeah.
And there's situations where I'm like, I don't understand why this is considered offensive, but I want to listen and not just be like stubborn and be like, no, it's fine. Like, so yeah, I think anyone listening or watching that's like, feels defensive now and saying, you know, in talking about like Black Lives Matter or how we can be better allies as white people, like, I feel like just be open to understanding, being open to learning.
Yeah. Totally.
And it takes time, but just don't expect others to go out of their way to educate you. Try and educate yourself, because I think that's another key thing. I have a question around like forgiveness. I know from following a few things online, you know, past relationships, situations you've been in, like there's people that have done you wrong. We don't have to include this, but like I was watching a whole...
You can include whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, I was watching a highlight reel of like moments from the Vlog Squad days at the beginning, where David was like really viciously bullying you, and it made me really upset to watch, because I've watched David's vlogs for a while and never seen the reality of the dark side, and it's not been until the last few months where a lot of people have been speaking out against it.
People are seeing now what I've been seeing, what I've known for years.
Yeah.
And it's honestly kind of it causes me like a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
Because I know what he's going through because I went through it.
Are you in speaking terms? Has he reached out to you to apologize?
He did ask me if I wanted to talk, and I actually forgot to respond because when I got it, I was in a studio session, and then I kind of just, it didn't, there are so many answers that I've been wanting for so long that
it might be healing to have a conversation with him.
Well, I thought over the years maybe, but what I've found is happiness is forgiving people who will never apologize.
Yeah.
And he reached out to me at a time where it's not like I hadn't tried to talk to him over the years. It was when he was like getting canceled and scared. He was afraid I would say something.
He's backed into a corner. And...
Yeah. So like,
are you saying like you were able to forgive him a while ago? Or do you think you still feel...
I think I recently was able to forgive a lot of people because it wasn't just him. And like honestly, the reality is the stuff in the vlogs, what I'm not cool with I wasn't cool with the nose jokes, I wasn't cool with the fat jokes, I expressed that, and then that's why I wasn't a part of the vlogs anymore. But the reality is, like, I don't like when people clip stuff out of context. And there's one clip in there, for example, where he calls me fat, and they use that clip of me saying, like, you've been calling me fat since vlog 1. And he says, I don't call you fat because you're fat, I call you fat because you think you're fat and you're not. And it was interesting to me that people chose to take that clip and edit out the part where he actually was saying you're not fat. And here's the thing.
So he was playing, from his perspective, you think he was playing on the fact that
I called myself
it was ironic
fat because they all called me fat. And it was an ongoing joke where I was making the weight jokes because everybody else was calling me fat. And I was giving everybody else permission to make weight jokes. But also everyone in that group knew I had a severe eating disorder. And when I brought up that I didn't like the jokes and I didn't want this and I wanted to get back to the friendship and not the vlogs, then I lost all my friends. And that's what I have a problem with. That's what I would have liked explanation and apology for. Not the fact that we were fucking around and you were slapping my ass or calling me ugly. Like, I didn't like it, it's bullying. If they're your friends or not, it's still bullying. What I found later was that they were not my friends. Because as soon as I wasn't okay with that type of content and I wasn't okay with just being clickbait and thumbnails, I lost my friends. So, like, there's certain grievances and graces that you give to people because they're your friends. Would I allow a stranger to slap me on the ass or somebody who I don't like to slap me on the ass? No. If you're my best friend and we're kind of like fraternizing in a way, like, if I'm not respecting myself enough to say stop slapping my ass, I also can't expect you to teach yourself to not slap my ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was because I thought we were friends and we were fucking around. When you find out we were never friends, it's like, what the fuck was going on there? So as far as like the body image shit, calling me ugly, making fun of my nose, calling me fat, sometimes
I think the one clip
wasn't.
that got me was when there was like a present that you were given. It was like a surprise, and it was diet pills.
What's interesting about that
was like kind of heartbreaking
that was a video on my channel that we scripted beforehand.
Okay.
And that's where I don't like when people take stuff out of context. Now, the deeper issue of that is the reason I was okay with that joke and put it on my channel and edited and put it on is because I thought that was all I was worth.
Yeah, well, that's
a fat joke.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. It's like, even if you were aware, it's like you're degrading, you're allowing someone to degrade you with a joke like that.
Yeah.
Because even if it's some kind of in joke where it's like a joke about how you view yourself, like what's communicated is that there's this lack of acceptance towards you.
Yeah.
Because
and I'm also sending I was contributing to the negative body issues because by calling myself fat when I was a little bit overweight, but like by making myself the fat girl, the token fat girl, because that was how my friends spoke to me. Because what wasn't on camera was before we were even rolling, I'm not going to say which one of them, made a comment about how soft my jaw was and how I didn't have a jawline or a neckline. And that was like already an insecurity of mine, and like that was off camera. So why the fuck did you say that? You know what I mean? Like I was feeding into the jokes because the jokes were being made, but also I didn't advocate for myself because I wanted to fit in and be accepted. I forgive those people for making jokes that hurt me. I don't forgive those people for completely cutting ties with me when I expressed that.
And would you look to mend that?
No.
You're over it. You're kind of
yeah, we're different people. Yeah. We're very different people, and that's okay. And like that's what I was saying earlier about like I don't quit. I hold on to toxic things. They are toxic, and it feels very weird openly talking about this because it's something I never said I would, but it was a huge piece of my story, and for a long time I was villainized because I wasn't friends with those people. And it's been like a really painful like 5 to 6 years of being that villain because I didn't fit in with the people who you thought were cool, but the people you thought were cool are fucking me, you know?
Thanks for opening up, and I feel like we could carry on chatting for hours, and maybe if we do another video sometime, like I'd love just to like
have no time restrictions and just keep chatting. But
Yeah.
it's been really nice hanging out, hearing your story, and just talking about how we can use our platforms to do good. And yeah.
You're awesome, dude. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
This has
thanks
been
for coming
sick.
on. Yeah, it's been really amazing.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow Gabby and CropSwap LA and subscribe to this podcast for future episodes. Please leave a comment suggesting future guests you'd love to see on the show.